Ladies and gentlemen, as I mentioned before, we do have another session now which is key to some of the conversations you've been having and we've been having. It's about data. Data, as you know, is the bedrock of any digitalization strategy. And part of that is making sure that we have the right data in the right place, used in the right way, and that we can actually make sure that it's valuable, and what insight you can bring from data is absolutely key. Because data in itself can't do much. It's what you do with that data, how you collaborate with that data, and how you make sure the different partners right along the supply chain can actually utilize that data and have some commercial success. So to talk about that data issue, we've got a fantastic group of panelists to talk about this, and we'll deep dive into some of the challenges and, more to the point, some of the solutions about data. So my first panelist is someone who's a accomplished data scientist, originally from Colombia, with deep expertise in the area of data and AI. He has worked on various optimization and AI-driven projects at an OEM focusing on both inbound and outbound logistics. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome John Torres, Lead Scientist Data at Mercedes-Benz. John. Thank you, John. Thank you. Next, we have a panelist with 24 years of experience within a Tier 1 supplier, having worked in simulation engineering and project management of major IT integration projects, and being the liaison between business and IT, so very relevant here. He recently joined the supply chain management domain to deliver digital IT solutions in the area of procurement and logistics. Ladies and gentlemen, Eric Rampanch and Iran, Supply Chain Manager, IT Manager. Atoli. Thank you. Last but not least, please welcome someone with experience in the B2B domain of digitalization in manufacturing and supply chain, translating complex ideas and needs for the supply chain into innovative, value-driven solutions. Ladies and gentlemen, Leonid Yashin, Supply Chain Executive from InterSystems. Please. To kick off this discussion, John's going to just give a couple of slides just to frame the conversation about data, and then we'll have a panel discussion. John.
Thank you very much, Riyad. Exactly, just brought some input so that we can start a conversation. And basically, as you can see here, I'll just set up so a little bit better. We were discussing yesterday in the AI topic, right, in the workshop, and I was really glad for all your active participation. For those who didn't participate, we were discussing about the iceberg, and we were actually working out together what are the parts that you see here. This is the sort of answer already condensed. And what is really interesting to notice is that there are so many different topics, but at the end, we have really similar problems in our different companies. And then you see here things like data silos, legacy systems, right? Volatility, change management, data quality, supplier collaboration. And really importantly, that we also hear in the previous conversations about data governance and how we integrate actually our business processes so that we can actually reach to supply chain optimization, artificial intelligence, full digitalization, and automation systems. And that's exactly what I really would like to talk about with my colleagues. So just to frame the conversation a little bit, I brought a couple of questions that I would like to discuss. It's, for example, the impact of data quality and data governance on AI use cases. And that's something, for example, that at Mercedes we're really tackling right now in a really strategic way from the board of management, top down, which definitely makes a difference. It was said also before that sponsorship is really important, right? A couple of years ago, we started right from the bottom up and we say, hey, let's do digitalization, let's do optimization, let's do AI and so forth. And then we notice, okay, it doesn't work that way. We need actually the sponsorship from the top management and say, hey, this is actually a strategic topic and we need to go into that direction to actually make it happen. So data quality and data governance is really important. And that also leads you to how to leverage successful data science data analytics teams. So when you have new people in your organization joining, as I was saying yesterday, the nerdies, right, joining the team. So how to actually make them work together with your business team. And that's really important, relevant for the conversation. And at the end also is how to take all their energy investment, right? That you put so much effort into building AI use cases and automation into your company, but actually it's not making success. Yesterday I mentioned at a figure, 87% of AI use cases do not go into the production. 87%. So imagine how much money, effort, and time is being invested in our companies and that. And we need to work together so that we can actually answer the questions.
Yeah,
thank you.
Very much. Thank you very much for that. Just on that, let's talk about data quality, because we mentioned before about data in itself can't do much, but you need high quality data across the board. I'll come to you, John, first in terms of that data quality issue. How do you actually improve data across the board?
Excellent. So, as I said, data governance was one of our main topics. So now we have a main data strategy for the whole Mercedes-Benz organization, which we broke down in different subunits. So now I'm part of the marketing and sales unit, and there we're also building up a really long-term Mercedes-Benz marketing and sales data strategy, in which we have also components we have built in-house. For example, tools for dealing with data quality issues, which we have built in-house, and now we connect to all our data lakes in all our platforms. So if you have this understanding, probably you also have in your company, so you have the legacy systems, right, in the lower part, then you raise the data into data lakes, and then you have the data there, different data platforms, right, and different cloud services, and then you need to enable the data quality processes. So in between, you set a layer to actually check for different data quality, that we have global compliance and rules that we say, okay, consistency, uniqueness, completeness, and then you check all those different KPIs, also with the help of the businesses. That is also coming back to the question that is so important and relevant, that business are working together with IT. In Mercedes, we already did it. We are now one unit with IT together with business, and that makes things way easier, because now it's not like, okay, you're responsible for that, you need to deliver that to me. No, we are all responsible for delivering that. And that's how we're tackling right now data quality in Mercedes.
Fantastic. That's a major view from an OEM. In terms of a tier one supplier, Autoliv, what are you seeing in terms of some of the wider challenges of gathering and using data at Autoliv?
We're way far than what Daimler is today. The real challenge is really about the understanding, about the definition of the data. So that's really, and we do have as a tier one multiple ERPs in our organization. So we have like 60 sites in 4 different regions where we have different, as I said, ERP. So first of all, getting all this data together, making sure that we have the right definition, we have the right understanding of what is this this information is really the challenge today. So we started, I mean, ever since I'm in the IT organization, 6-7 years, I've kept hearing about this ERP data collection initiative. This is going on. I assume now it's getting much better than what we had. We're not yet in data quality, but we are really on the data gathering part and making sure that we are harmonizing it as much as possible to be able to use it after that. So that's where we are. So we are starting really quite far from where you are, guys, but
it's a journey, right?
That's where we have to go. And we know we have a vision, and that will come to. That's what we need to do for this perspective. So that's the multiplicity of the ERP system that makes it quite challenging for us to have the data quality we're expecting on that area.
Right. Leonard, what are you seeing in terms of gathering data that you're seeing from the partners that you're working with, and gathering the data from the different parts, whether it's definition or whether it's making sure that they're using it in the right way?
Yeah, thanks. This is a great question. We heard a lot about breaking data silos, a lot of, we are talking about brownfield environment. A lot of legacy systems coexist with some modern systems there, and it's sometimes difficult to be able to align those systems, to connect those systems. And that's one of the main challenges, to be able to build this nice chain of basically systems which are working together, to get this end-to-end visibility, to get transparency, and so on and so forth, what we've heard today. The challenges is first of all, in the nature of the data or in the nature of the systems, because we have transactional systems and we have analytical systems. So the nature of the data is different. So John, you know that.
Yeah.
The other part is through the different systems, you have different IDs for the same items, you have different naming conventions, and that makes it difficult to merge the data from one system into the other, to make them communicate between each other. And that's a kind of approach, and I recall to Thorsten, who told us that there are only companies which are trying to lock the OEMs and suppliers. No, there are companies who are trying to break these silos, to break these data silos by providing the connective tissue or common data plane or execution layer, you name it, as it should be.
And bringing them all together from different regions and different plants
Exactly.
is just adds another layer of complications, right? But
Yeah.
Eric, we spoke before about your command center that you're developing and have developed, an ongoing project, I suppose. Just tell us something about your the command center, how it's going, and just share some ideas about why it's important to have that.
It started from what we mentioned about the disruption we had, the volatility. I think we talked about that quite a bit. And then where we struggled quite a bit because it did cost us quite a lot to react, to be able to support our OEMs, then managing also our supplier, our inventory, and this is all where it started with the vision from our management, and that's where they supported it. So okay, why did we come to that point? And one of the first reason is that we didn't have the visibility, the end-to-end visibility, or the visibility itself of what is our basically snapshot. Where are we? What are the parts? What is the inventory? What is the stock we have today? For example, just for the data, for an example, we have in our data warehouse reporting 700 or more than data product, which is called inventory. So we don't know which one to pick. So we had to go through making sure that we have the right. The single source of truth was basically what we were looking at. What do we believe to take the right decision? And this is all where it started. So it started with like very ambitious plan to say, okay, command center, control tower, whatever you want. You have something, take an action, and then you handle that. But it became quite difficult. So we started with this nice dashboard that everybody was excited with all the dots. I can't remember who said that before. But at least you had that management drive to say, oh, great. They wouldn't do anything with it, but at least there is that traction to say, okay, let's go on, let's dig in a little bit more, and then try to get to this information. So today we are in the phase where we start gathering the information. We have data quality issues, but at least that gives the visibility to our organization to say, okay, look, if you guys making an effort here, we will be able to see what's happening in your plans, what's happening in your plan or in your region. Yeah. So that's starting from that. And then the second step basically is also to say, okay, what type of decision we can take, and also being able. So we are moving on, so we do have also the ambition to really use it as a command center. So it's not like a 2 years journey we thought about. It's going to be a bit longer, but we are on our way towards meeting our vision or going towards our vision. So
it is important. It's a journey. It's not a start and a finish. You don't just stop. Mm-hmm. But one of the continuous challenges, I suppose, and John, you alluded to this in your slide about governance. Mm-hmm. It's a continuous struggle. What are your thoughts on governance internally and, of course, externally, where you've got external partners and organizational different silos, but data governance is a key element.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I must say also that we have not finished the task. We also have been struggling a lot. What we definitely have understood finally is that data is key to all our processes. And then when you start building up your processes from the data perspective, the data is key to be shared, to be transactional along the whole organization, is when you actually start building up into breaking those silos. Because organically, even when you work in so big companies, there are cross-regional, have so many different units, it's really difficult to keep the same understanding of exactly when you define an ID or when you define an item, right? Or you define a customer ID or something like that. So it grows organically apart, and that's why you need the data governance. You need a strong data governance team that actually set up what is the strategy which has to be defined, and how do we go about it, and how do we tackle those challenges. And what we have started doing is exactly defining that. We have now a big project in which we call One Data Model. And that project is try to get our master data into place, right? We have many different initiatives which have already tackled that at some level, but we want to go the next step. So to have the full vision of the company, to have the understanding that everyone, when goes into our data marketplace and is picking something up, then, okay, this is exactly what it means, and this is the same understanding you have in logistics as you have in customer management, as you have in marketing and sales, and so on and so forth. So if you want to enable your company to the next level, so for AI or also LLMs and AI agents, right, which is the next level, so you need to have your data in place. You need to have a clear understanding, what is my data stewardships, what are my information data officers, how are they defined, which responsibilities they do have, what are my ISO and BISOs, right? So where are they located, and are they following the processes, so that we can actually grab them and say, hey, this is the responsibilities, and let's put it down and then tailor and tackle those challenges so that we can actually start building into the future.
Yeah. Leonard, about the data governance issue, is that a thing that you're seeing, and how do you actually make sure that there is that continuous agreement and understanding of data?
Yeah, I mean, the standardization of the data exchange is a crucial topic, and it's really important for companies. The question is, how do you do it? Are you doing it with this golden record, which is sitting in the middle and trying to expand to every system which are there? Or you are building I would call it the common data plane, which is taking this heavy lifting for the companies. So basically, see it as a translator for different systems. The data model from one system is going inside, and you can share this same data with different model to the other systems. And what you have to do, you don't have to change the source systems. You are providing this nice layer, which is taking everything and do this translation within it. And of course, you can implement, or you have already nice tools for data cleansing there, for data enrichment if there are some quality problems, and data validation, of course, because you have to check, is the data right, what is coming in, can I put it through or not? And by doing that, you are able to build this nice chain of data. So connect data with analytics, with processes, and with people at the end. Because at the end of the day, we as a human, what can we do best? Decide. We don't have to do this heavy lifting, prepare the data, trying to squeeze things out. We want to have this nice foundation, which will be provided by the technology, and we just decide.
Well, when do you allow the technology to decide?
Sorry?
When do you allow the technology to start to decide?
That's a pretty difficult,
Because you're right.
difficult topic. I mean, you can do it.
Yeah.
There are, you have to be ready for that. Trust is also a huge topic, because a lot of times we are talking about AI, as I've heard of yesterday. It's a black box.
Right.
So nobody really knows what is happening there. Something is going in, something going out. You can take it or leave it. Just to adjust to it, we don't really know what happening here in the brain also. So it's kind of a similar situation. Yeah. But the thing is, there are some routine tasks which you can really outsource completely to the machine. They should do it. We don't have to touch it. And we should focus on the strategic part, which is really important and has a biggest impact on the business.
Yeah, and talking of that, so we will come on to organisation and trust. I think that's a very important topic to talk about. And if there are any questions, please do raise your hand. But I want to come to Eric about the governance issue, because obviously as you set up your command centre and as you make sure you have that in place, how do you at Autoliv make sure you have good governance across the board for that command centre that we talked about?
So that's also a journey that started 1 or 2 years ago when we started identifying all this issue around the data, the quality, the single source of truth, where we have a team which is the data enablement team from the IT organization, and then we came up with some sort of strategy that are built on 4 pillars. So this is about the data domain, making sure that the data that you are using are belonging to a certain domain when it comes to logistic or supply chain. So this is where it belongs to. You do have a team who is basically defining and making sure what we're talking about when we're talking about stock, what we are talking about transportation or whatever it is. In this area. So we do have the different domains that correspond basically to the functions, so engineering, manufacturing. So we started discussing about that one. So it's something that you have to sell to the organization to say, okay, you need to start understanding the value of the data, and that's how we have to work. We have obviously the data product within the data domain, so making sure you have the right information, the criteria, so what do we do with the data, the refreshing time, the definition, where is the source of the data, which system is going to give you the right information. So you come to some sort of agreement with every stakeholder to say, okay, that's what it's going to be, the golden report. And then obviously what comes also the federated governance. I think I heard that yesterday as well. So that all these domains have their, let's say, governance, they respect some rules, and then we can reuse in some sort of self-serving data platform. So this is really the 4 area where we're looking at doing it, because then you have a real control, a real ownership, and then you know where you have to go, and then this is what you're going to provide. So this is the governance that we're putting in place around the organization. There is a technical also layer for that. We are again on the data gathering, creating within the domains this area. As a matter of fact, the command center is somehow the first place where we are practicing it. So it kind of like derived from what we wanted to do. Yeah. So a breakdown of a BOM, this is what you want to see, what product we have where, then you connect it with who is supplying it, where is the supplier, what type of material is used, and then try to connect with all information. Regulation is also putting some other criteria or some elements that we need to consider. So terrain mapping becomes also quite evident for us to look into this thing, but this is within that domain today. And this is something that we had within the organization, make sure that people buy in, but also respect. And I think it's getting that in the mind of people and in the organization, because we are showing right away with that methodology some progress.
And progress means people.
So you need to define the use case to say, okay, that's where we are progressing, and then show the next step.
And these explain to people how it works, what the solutions are, and the next steps builds trust. Mm-hmm. Let's talk about trust, because it is important, right? Having trust in data, especially when you've got data across different platforms, across different organizations. How do you build trust in data?
Yeah, so there are different factors definitely you take into account when building trust. So the first thing is transparency. Mm-hmm. So you need to create transparency in the organization, and that's really important, because most of the times what happens is that if the organization is big, then you have different teams working in the same problem multiple times, right? I see a couple of faces here. And that's something real difficult that you need to identify early enough, so that's why you need a central governance in terms of not that there's the police, so to say. We also try to say we are not the police inside Mercedes, but we try to create a framework so that people can work on it and can connect to it. So definitely, transparency is super important. And then the second of it is also cross-collaboration and connection with the business. I was saying that also yesterday, so it's super important to connect to your business colleagues, because at the end, what is the point of using AI? What is the point of automating? The point is that people can take faster decisions. You were saying it, right? So that's the end goal, that we can take faster decisions. So if people cannot trust the systems, then they will not work with it. And you need to start building app into that. There are many new technologies which would allow us to do that, right? In the past, we have a lot of black box systems, right? And machine learning, deep learning, real black box systems. But there are recently a lot of innovations into actually breaking that and then coming actually to more of white box systems. So OpenAI's competitor, Claude, they were training another model to explain the decisions of the model, right? So there are many different ways to actually come into that, and that's something that we're also trying to do in Mercedes, so that we can also show the context of why an AI system is taking some decision. This is, for example, called retrieval augmented generation systems, right? So if you have those systems in place in which your LLMs are being fed with the context data of your systems, and then they are answering and also showing the sources, for example, hey, I am answering this because I found in the master data XY, right, that this data is there. It starts building trust, and people start looking at the systems and saying, oh, okay, I can actually start taking decisions based upon that. Also, when you're doing, for example, a demanding forecast, if you just show a point forecast, that's telling me nothing. If you show an interval saying, hey, this is the forecast, but remember that 90% and 70%, the risk should go into this direction, that also give context to your people to make decision. So there are many different elements you can definitely start building into your systems, but the second, as I said, mentioned, important thing is to bring them together. So bring your business closer, talk to them, and say, hey, how is your business on daily basis? What would help you to actually make decisions faster? It's not about which AI tool do you want today. No, that's not the question to ask. Is how can I help you to make your process faster? How can I help you to make decisions faster? Where is your pain point? Okay, and let's translate that into the tool that may be useful. And most of the cases we have faced, okay, it's actually no AI use case. We need to optimize the process only, right? Yeah. Integrate it, streamline it.
Absolutely. Leo,
may I ask,
trust? Yeah.
May I ask, how do you achieve this cross-department, cross-team collaboration, or what is the best way to get there?
Yeah, you need a central team, which is actually working into cross-collaboration, a whole organization. So we have now a central IT unit, which is responsible for the whole integration of the master data and data strategy for the whole Mercedes globally. And we started that journey around 2.5 years ago with our chief data officer now, and it's working pretty nice. So I am really glad, because I've been in the company for almost 8 years now, and I've struggled so much at the beginning. I mentioned it yesterday, in which we wanted to do some AI, and the only thing we had was CSV files, right? So, right, and that's exactly, I guess, most of you still face the problems in some legacy systems, right? That you want to get some data, and there is not. And with that, we are now working together all the units, so talking marketing and sales, production, finance, all together, and then we're talking and we're meeting together and say, hey, how do we want to shape the organization together? How we want to reduce, because now we're using one cloud provider here, one cloud provider there, one platform system here in EMEA region, another one in AMAP, and then how do we bring that out together so that we actually decomplexify the whole organization? There's something that we're tackling now with our Chief Information Officer, Catherine Lemon, which is called radical standardization. And we're aiming to actually reduce the number of analytical systems that we have so that we actually can consolidate more. It doesn't mean that you need to centralize everything, but also super decentralized is not the right option. You need to find the right balance in your organization, and the answer is for your organization. How many people are you handling? Are you handling 10,000, 30,000 employees? Are you handling 200,000 like Mercedes, right? So it's different from company to company, but you need to find the right balance, and really important is to find those information officers from your units and bring them together and start talking so that they can be multipliers in their organization and start spreading the message and creating, as I mentioned, this data culture. It has to become a culture that you need to share data. And yeah, and you have employees who say, yeah, I don't care because I'm doing my tiki-taka here, my daily business. I just need to type the invoices here. I don't care, and that's fine. It takes time for the company, and it takes also time for the employees to adapt to these new changes, and then you have to take them with you. Sure. Because they are valuable people. Those are your assets in your people growing the day in business. You need to take them with you and show them where the value is. You can have, for example, we have additionally a lot of community meetings. I am leading the data community in my organization. And there we try to bring business. So I once a month, I bring them together, business and IT, and tell them, hey, let's talk about the different systems you have. Let's just share the knowledge. Let's spread it. What are you doing? Even though your system's going to be sold out, no problem. Lessons learned. Like, what did you do right? What did you do wrong? And let's share and spread the knowledge. And I see so much cross-collaboration and synergies being here in the different, here in Asia, in Europe, in America. We're bringing them together and say, hey, yeah, we want more, actually, of it. And I see how we're growing. But we started small, so a couple of people, and now collaborating, as I said, also with a strong governance unit, is how we at Mercedes are tackling the problem.
Yeah. And breaking it down, and those data silos, the people silos, organizational silos, and having that sort of trust building. What are you seeing in how you build trust? Because this is, you mentioned it about making sure that you have trust in the data across different platforms, different organizations. What advice are you giving to build trust? Is it the same thing as Mercedes-Benz in terms of having a central team, different organizations, bringing different people in, but not just within the organization, but actually all your supply chain partners, right?
That's a really interesting topic. How do you build the trust in the data between the different systems and different stakeholders? You either trust or not, basically. And if there is a data strategy,
it's not easy, is it? I mean, that's the whole point.
Yeah.
If everyone thought that data integration, interoperability, and having that trust in it was easy, everyone would be doing it. But it's not, and this is part of the challenge that everyone faces, I think, with the OEMs, tier ones, tier twos, is how do you collaborate without building trust? How do you integrate without building trust?
If we create this fully integrated enterprise, so the fully interoperable enterprise, then there is a trust a priori there. So because the data is moving from A to B maybe without touching of people or of the professionals. Yeah. So you take it as it is there, it's prepared, you can start to work with it. Yeah. And then drive your insights out of it, or automate your processes, build some fancy execution layer, and so on and so forth. Up to, as Paulina, for example, said, this event or exception-driven supply chain. Yeah. The technology is taking the heavy lifting, and you as a professional will be just notified if there is some deviation from the normality or the exception. Yeah. And that's a pretty interesting topic and idea for the future, of course.
That's the next conference. Let's talk about organizational structures, because one of the key things about data is, as we just alluded, that people need to be involved, and organizations, not just the OEM or tier one, but in between, how do you change that organizational culture to make sure that data is A, understood, B, shared equally and understand that, and get the management buy-in and the board level buy-in to make sure that organizational change happens? Because without the organizational change, the digital transformation change perhaps may not happen.
How do you make this organization change? I guess that was like one. I'm coming back a little bit. This command center where we had the chance to have right person at the right moment, having the right vision, so the right understanding of the needs. So when we started having that challenge about the visibility, so we had a couple of people who understand what they had to do, and they started, they had the IT skills to manage and, manipulate the data in the right way to bring that visibility. So all of a sudden it was, we can do that. So there was a bit of trust that started coming up because we could bring some value. And I guess in the methodology and how they brought it up, derived, looking a little bit at the literacy in the data world, but to say, how do we organize around what these guys have done? So, we need to have the data domain. We need to have a person from the business having that little sense of IT and data, and that IT person who have a bit of an understanding of what the business wants to go. So we were kind of lucky, to be honest, to bring that. And it was kind of validated of what we were looking in the literature about having a data domain and how do you control your data. So you need to create a data product. Why are we going to use this data for that? That's going to be that product. How often do you need to have it? How much do you need to refresh and build the architecture below? And it's kind of like we were able slowly in an agile way, but agile in the Scrum methodology, so slowly proving that we were going somewhere. And then the data enablement team kind of say, okay, we can help you guys with the infrastructure, but then at the same time putting the organization and the structure in place to validate what we were doing. So we had to validate first to build the organization, but we had the support from our management at that point say, okay, we have nothing, we need to start. So they sponsored us to find our organization, and that's how we are today. So we need to continue to deliver something, we need to bring some value. So, but this is how we started putting the organization in place. They started with the trust, and a bit of luck of having the right people in the right place at the right moment. So that's
very important. The people side is so important, and that continuous improvement is important. In terms of organization, what advice would you give to make sure that organizational culture changes? Because it's a long process. It's not overnight. It does take time to actually deliver this. How would you do the cultural side of organizations?
So definitely there are a couple of factors to take into account, but the first one is you need to allow your people time, right? So, and I know it's hard because we are, all of us, right, under pressure with the current economic situation, and then most people are working also a lot of extra time, but definitely we need time. So we need to align our team members to actually cross-collaborate, to connect themselves. That's what I was talking about, the communities. So if you're allowed to create communities inside the organization, when people start connecting, when people start, for example, sharing different knowledge, then you start building up the culture. You need to promote it actively to show your employees that it is important that actually when it comes to sharing data, when it comes to talking about AI, on implementing it, on using it actively. So, for example, we have also recently come into many different events. One we had recently is Pasta and Tech, also for our vice president. Pretty interesting. We just get together in one of our offices. There is a kitchen, and then we prepare pasta and then talk about tech, right? So things simple like as that, in which you allow 1 hour, and then you just bring your people, and then you just start talking like, okay, what are the current challenges? What are the current ideas, future ideas that you want to start developing, and then you start building the culture. So definitely that helps bringing people and then talking about this. And as I said, breaking those silos so that we had before, okay, IT is here and they just have to deliver my new feature in the system, and then business is here and then just waiting for whatever new feature in the system to be integrated. We need to work them together. So, for example, having cross-organizational units in which IT and business is not separated anymore is definitely one of the options to go, because then you can actually have crossed or have aligned goals, right? So you say, okay, the goal of this unit is to achieve these KPIs by the end of the year or in the next 5 years. So it's not anymore, okay, so what is the goal here for the IT, what is the goal for the business? So that helps definitely a lot into data literacy, so having also active data literacy, so on bringing your people in business who do not know a lot, maybe they're just want to keep using the Excel, right, instead of using Power BI because it's easier, and if they're using Power BI, they just download the data in Excel again, right? So, and then you need to start building this culture and show them, hey, if you actually click here and then use it, use those filters, you can actually get the same view, right? You don't have to download the data again in Excel and spend 3 hours trying to do pivot tables, right? So these kind of small examples show them as well, and also bring, as I said, the tech people together closer with the business to try to understand the different two worlds.
Yeah. It is amazing how much the solution to our technology problems is based on humans and the interaction between the different parts of the organization. But before we finish, I just want to ask about the benefits of getting a good data strategy right, because whilst there are challenges, there are some major benefits if we get the data strategy right within the Tier 1, Tier 2 OEM ecosystem. So I just want to last questions to all of you in terms of the benefits and incredible benefits that you can see. Leo, I'm going to start with you. What are the benefits that you can predict for organizations that get the data strategy correct?
Yeah, thank you. I prepared myself. I brought something with me. Here we have I like this analogy about a supply chain having a crystal ball and a magic wand. Literally says wunderbar, just as a gag, so to say. So being able to put the data in the right context to right time and being able to foresee in the future, it's a kind of crystal ball, magic. And on the other side, we have this automation, the magic wand. So basically, we are waving with the hand, or in digital world with the mouse, and we are getting things done by technology or crafted by the data. And that is kind of benefits which you get when you fully connect your supply chain. So you get things done in a fast manner, semi or fully automated if you want to. And again, the people are focusing on the strategic part, not always firefighting. If we talk about, for example, planning, a lot of planning meetings are running 90% is firefighting, looking into backlog. What do we have to manage right now? Calling other colleagues, writing emails, and so on and so forth. And with connected supply chain, everything's vanished. So basically, the supply chain professionals are focusing on the strategic topics, and anything else is happening in the background, and the system is providing alarming and stuff like that to it. And that's how you achieve this end-to-end visibility and free more time for more strategic topics.
Yeah, no, fantastic. Eric, so what kind of examples of benefits can you see where you have a connected supply chain, good data strategy, good governance, and all that good stuff?
Yeah, I mean, as a tier one supplier, having our customer that we need to serve going faster, so it's really the reduction of time. So, squeezing the lead time we're having in order to, the time we spend to getting the right data, take the right information. So it's really the timing is one thing. But then if you go beyond that, so, having the visibility of where we are, and then the regulations calling for that, in terms of carbon footprint, being able to have that view would be like ideally to say where we have the biggest leverage to act easily, because when you don't have this data, you don't have this information, you don't know, you just tap in the dark. And here it's really an opportunity where you say, okay, we can do something good with having the right data. So talking more, not the pragmatic, shortening the lead time for everybody go faster, but really from that perspective, doing something for the society will be something that the data can help us focusing. I think that's
fantastic. Yeah, you're right.
That,
absolutely.
That's what I would say, yeah.
John, kind of benefits that you're seeing or you potentially could see by having a good data strategy?
So currently at our studies, we see the data strategy as part of our core of our business. So it's not anymore something that is nice to have, as it used to be a couple of years ago, right? It's a must. So any organization who wants to survive in the upcoming years needs to have a clear data strategy also led by the management, and then streamed down also to all the employees in our organization. And there's something that we called, or we are aiming for, so there is the control tower, right, that we know from logistics. You have the control of everything which is happening. The next step is actually to have the end-to-end control tower for the whole organization. So if you actually have all your master data and all your data quality in place, you can actually connect all the systems of the organization and break those silos. Because if you see at the current situation, and economic situation, after Corona, we see how volatile the world has become, right? And then organizations need to adapt from globalization to deglobalization. How do I adapt my networks, my strategies? Where do I sell my cars now? I need to move some inventory here to another one. I need to adjust my marketing strategy. And you can, in order to take those decisions, you cannot use only your silo data anymore. You need more data actually to start taking those decisions. So if you have a connection from your procurement to actually my marketing campaign, in which I am connecting to my customer via online, and they're just asking for a car, and then everything is just pulled back from the systems, and I can actually have an overview that's only possible if I have the control of my data and have a clear data strategy. But as I said, we are in the process. We are not there yet. That's our goal. But once you define and you start working together, because it's not like just a nice written PowerPoint presentation done by the board of management, right? And everyone claps and it's like, okay, let's do it. No, it's actually, it takes time. Again, the question of the time, and you need to give time to the organization to adapt to that new culture, because that will take time. Right? You cannot just come tomorrow and say, hey, we have a new data strategy, let's implement it. Yeah. Everything's going to be awesome tomorrow. No, you need time, and you need to start moving in small steps. So, for example, control tower is something, logistics is very data-driven, right? But there are many other areas in the organization that are not that data-driven, as they should, right? Procurement, or maybe, right? I just don't care about my legacy systems, but I don't care about cloud data. I don't care about sharing data, right? So you need to start moving and convincing your different units to bring to the next level. And then once you have that full overview, end-to-end vision of your company, then the decisions you can start taking and how fast you can start adapting is exactly where we want to aim for.
It is a time-consuming work, and it will take time. But the clear benefits are there, I think, if we can get there, whether it's faster decision-making, data to use for other things like calculating your CO2 emissions, but also changing your priorities and adapting. So fascinating conversation. I appreciate all your time and in that. Before we go to lunch, just a quick reminder that after lunch we have great information and panel discussion about leadership, great examples of how to have that within the digital future, examples also about partnerships and how people can collaborate, because that's a prerequisite, I suppose, of all of this stuff, including data. And then we finish off today with a look forward to 2030 and what we can do as an industry to make sure that we are progressing well and successfully into those few years. So enjoy your lunch. Please come back after lunch. But in the meantime, please thank my panelists. Thank you very much. Thank you. Yeah.